Imagine walking into a dealership spending $52,000 on a brand new SUV, then discovering 6 months later that the manufacturer is shutting down Canadian operations, your warranty is worthless, and your vehicle just lost $23,000 in value overnight. This is happening right now to thousands of Canadian buyers who trusted brands that are quietly collapsing. Today, we're exposing the 10 car brands operating in Canada that are on the brink of complete failure, from catastrophic sales collapses to full dealership network shutdowns. And number 1? It sold over 47,000 vehicles in Canada last year, while simultaneously reporting losses so severe that bankruptcy is now a genuine possibility. Let's start with a brand that Canadians once trusted for reliability, but is now abandoning entire vehicle segments. Starting at number 10, Mitsubishi, and this collapse is particularly painful for Canadian buyers who remember when Mitsubishi meant affordable reliability and genuine value. 2 decades ago, Mitsubishi sold over 340,000 vehicles annually in North America, with iconic models like the Lancer Evolution, Eclipse, and Montero defining the brand's performance and capability credentials. That brand barely exists anymore. In 2024, Mitsubishi sold just 86,218 vehicles across the entire United States and CAD and Canada combined, representing a catastrophic 75% decline from peak sales. The Canadian market specifically saw Mitsubishi deliveries collapse to approximately 11,400 units in 2024, down from over 22,000 units just 5 years prior. That's a 48% sales collapse in half a decade. The current Mitsubishi lineup in Canada is a shell of what it once was. The Mirage Subcompact, RVR Compact Crossover, Eclipse Cross, and Outlander are all that remain. The legendary Lancer is gone. The Eclipse sports car is dead, replaced by a mediocre crossover that alienated the nameplate's entire enthusiast base. The Montero that defined rugged capability discontinued years ago, but the sales collapse is only part of the Mitsubishi nightmare Canadian buyers are experiencing. The brand's reputation was permanently damaged by multiple devastating scandals. In 2000, Mitsubishi was caught systematically covering up serious mechanical defects affecting hundreds of thousands of vehicles. In 2016, they were exposed falsifying fuel economy data for over 625,000 vehicles, triggering executive resignations, police raids, and a market value collapse so severe that Nissan had to acquire a controlling stake just to keep Mitsubishi alive. Current Mitsubishi owners in Canada are watching resale values plummet. A 2022 Outlander purchased for $38,900 Canadian dollars is now worth approximately $21,500 after just 3 years, representing 45% depreciation. But the real concern is long-term support. Will Mitsubishi maintain parts inventory and dealer service capability in Canada if sales continue collapsing? Calgary Mitsubishi dealer Michael Santos expressed uncertainty. Corporate tells us nothing about long-term Canadian strategy. We have inventory nobody wants and no clarity about whether Mitsubishi will even be here in 5 years. Mitsubishi proves that even brands with decades of Canadian presence can quietly collapse when scandals destroy trust and the product lineup loses all competitive relevance. If Mitsubishi's slow death sounds concerning, number 9 is a luxury brand that went from Lexus competitor to complete irrelevance in under a decade. Number 9 is Infiniti, and this collapse represents one of the most dramatic falls from relevance in Canadian luxury market history. In 2017, Infiniti sold over 153,000 vehicles globally, with genuine momentum as Japan's performance luxury alternative to BMW and Mercedes. The G35 and G37 were legitimate enthusiast icons. The FX crossover defined the sporty luxury SUV segment. Infiniti had identity, attitude, and loyal Canadian buyers. By 2024, Infiniti's global sales collapsed to just 58,200 units, a 62% decline. Canadian sales specifically fell below 4,800 units annually, representing catastrophic market share loss. In response to this collapse, Infiniti Canada announced they were shutting down standalone dealerships and consolidating operations into Nissan showrooms as part of a desperate cost-cutting restructure. The model lineup tells the collapse story. The Q50 sedan, Infiniti's last remaining car, was discontinued for 2025. The QX50 and QX55 crossovers ended production in 2025. What remains is a pathetic 2-vehicle lineup: the QX63 crossover and QX80 full-size SUV. That's the entire Infiniti brand in Canada, 2 SUVs hiding in Nissan dealerships. Current Infiniti owners in Canada are experiencing financial devastation. Toronto luxury car appraiser Sarah Chen analyzed recent resale data. A 2022 QX60 purchased for $63,900 Canadian dollars is now worth $36,400 after 3 years. That's 43% depreciation compared to 28% for a Lexus RX over the same period. Infiniti's collapse is destroying owner equity, but depreciation is just the beginning of the ownership nightmare. Vancouver QX50. Owner Robert Martinez described the service experience degradation. My nearest Infiniti dealer closed last year. The next closest is 90 kilometers away inside a Nissan dealership. I brought my QX50 in for service and they had to order specialty parts that took 3 weeks to arrive. The Infiniti brand is dying in real time. The long-term concern for Canadian Infiniti owners is whether Nissan will maintain adequate parts inventory, service training, and warranty support for a brand they've essentially given up on. When manufacturers retreat into consolidation mode, it's always the owners who pay the price through reduced support and collapsing resale values. Infiniti's retreat into Nissan showrooms is embarrassing, but number 8 proves even iconic American brands aren't safe from total collapse. At number 8, Chrysler, and this collapse is genuinely heartbreaking for Canadians who remember when Chrysler represented American innovation and family transportation excellence. Chrysler invented the minivan, a segment that fundamentally changed family vehicle dynamics. They built the 300 sedan that brought affordable luxury styling to mainstream buyers. For decades, Chrysler was synonymous with practical, stylish vehicles that delivered value. In 2005, Chrysler sold over 640,000 vehicles annually in North America. By 2024, that number collapsed to approximately 124,800 units, an 80% decline from peak. Canadian sales specifically fell to roughly 14,200 units in 2024, representing total market irrelevance. The brand that once defined family transportation is now a footnote. The current Chrysler lineup in Canada consists of one vehicle, the Pacifica minivan. That's it, one model. The legendary 300 sedan was discontinued in 2023, ending the nameplate that represented Chrysler's styling credibility. The Voyager exists primarily as a fleet vehicle with minimal consumer presence. Chrysler is effectively a one-product brand competing in a declining segment. Calgary Chrysler dealer Michael Park described the operational reality. We have more service bays than sales floor traffic. People come in to fix their old 300s or service their Pacificas, but nobody's buying new Chryslers. The brand has no future in Canada. The Pacifica itself is losing ground rapidly. Canadian sales fell 11% in 2024, despite the minivan segment remaining relatively stable. The Honda Odyssey, Toyota Sienna, and Kia Carnival are all taking market share with better technology, superior reliability reputations, and stronger resale values. Montreal automotive appraiser Chamette's Jennifer Williams analyzed the data. A 2022 Pacifica purchased for $56,700 Canadian dollars is worth $31,900 after 3 years. A comparable Odyssey retains $38,400. That's a $6,500 resale value gap on vehicles that cost the same new. But the existential threat to Chrysler and its Canadian owners came directly from former Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares, who warned publicly in 2024 that several group brands could disappear by 2026. Industry analysts widely believe Chrysler is first on that list. When a CEO publicly questions your brand's survival, resale values collapse and buyer confidence evaporates permanently. Current Chrysler owners in Canada face the very real possibility that their vehicles come from a brand that will cease to exist within years, leaving them with orphaned vehicles, questionable parts availability, and resale values that reflect total brand extinction risk. Before we continue to number 7, if this research is opening your eyes to Canadian automotive market risks, hit that subscribe button because next week we're revealing which brands are actually safe to buy long term. Number 7 is Buick. General Motors' attempt at affordable luxury that has become automotive purgatory. Too expensive to be mainstream, too generic to be genuinely premium. Buick's Canadian identity crisis is destroying sales and leaving owners holding vehicles with catastrophic depreciation. In 2024, Buick sold approximately 9,800 units in Canada, down from over 18,000 units in 2019. That's a 45% sales collapse in 5 years. The brand's average buyer age in Canada is 67 years old, meaning Buick is literally aging out of existence as their customer base dies without younger buyers replacing them. The current Buick lineup available in Canada includes the Envision midsize SUV, Enclave 3-row SUV, and Encore GX subcompact crossover. These vehicles share platforms, engines, and technology with Chevrolet models, but cost $8,000 to $12,000 more for Buick badges and slightly upgraded interiors that don't justify the premium pricing. The quality execution has been genuinely problematic. The Enclave specifically has suffered catastrophic reliability issues despite its 2025 redesign. Vancouver owner Sarah Chen bought a 2025 Enclave Premium for $64,900 Canadian dollars. Within 2,000 kilometers, I experienced transmission jerking, infotainment crashes, and a complete electrical failure that stranded me in a parking lot. The dealer kept it for 2 weeks troubleshooting. This is supposed to be luxury, but the issue destroying Buick resale values in Canada is even more fundamental. Many vehicles are built in China, creating quality inconsistency and buyer reluctance. The Envision is manufactured in China and imported to Canada, leading to documented build quality variations between units. Toronto Buick dealer Robert Martinez confirmed, "We've received Envisions where one unit is perfect and the next has rattles, panel gap issues, and electrical gremlins from day one. It's a quality control lottery." Current Buick depreciation in Canada is genuinely brutal. A 2022 Enclave Avenir purchased for $72,400 Canadian dollars is now worth approximately $38,600 after 3 years, representing 47% value loss. For comparison, a Lexus TX over the same period loses approximately 32%. That's a $10,800 resale value gap on comparable 3-row luxury SUVs. The long-term concern is whether GM maintains commitment to Buick in Canada as sales continue declining and the customer base ages out. When a brand's average buyer is 67 years old and sales are falling 8 to 10% annually, the math eventually forces difficult corporate decisions about continued investment. Buick's aging crisis is slow death, but number 6 is a German luxury brand that killed itself with the worst rebrand in automotive history. Number 6 is Jaguar, and this collapse is so spectacular, so utterly self-inflicted, that it should be studied in business schools as a masterclass in brand destruction. Jaguar was British automotive royalty. Owning a Jaguar meant something. It represented elegance, performance, timeless styling. The F-Type was gorgeous. The XE and XF delivered genuine driving dynamics. The brand had heritage and prestige. Then Jaguar decided to commit corporate suicide. In 2024, the brand discontinued nearly every model. The XE sedan, XF sedan, F-Type sports car, I-Pace EV, and E-Pace crossover all got axed across most global markets. The only model remaining in limited markets is the F-Pace SUV. Jaguar's Canadian lineup as of early 2026 is effectively 0 new vehicles available because the brand is in complete transition. The strategy was to go all-electric luxury, with new models arriving in 2026. That created a product vacuum where Canadian dealers have nothing to sell for over a year. Vancouver Jaguar dealer Michael Santos described the disaster. "We have no new inventory. We're selling used cars and doing service work. Customers who wanted a Jaguar have moved to Porsche, BMW, or Genesis. They're not waiting 2 years for theoretical electric Jaguars." But the product vacuum isn't even the worst part. The rebrand was absolutely catastrophic. Jaguar replaced the iconic leaping cat logo with generic typography that automotive media universally panned as corporate sterility. The marketing campaign that accompanied the rebrand was so poorly received that it became an international joke, destroying decades of brand prestige in a single advertisement. The CEO resigned shortly after. Jaguar's rebrand disaster is corporate incompetence, but number 5 proves sales success doesn't guarantee brand survival. Number 5 is Genesis, and this inclusion will surprise many Canadians because Genesis sales numbers look superficially healthy. The brand sold approximately 8,900 units in Canada in 2024, representing modest but steady growth. But beneath those sales figures is a brand that fundamentally cannot escape the perception problem destroying its luxury credibility. Genesis was created to compete with BMW, Mercedes, and Lexus by offering German-level luxury at lower prices. The G70 sedan delivers genuine driving dynamics. The GV80 SUV features premium interior execution. On paper, Genesis products are competitive. In reality, luxury buyers aren't buying the value proposition. The core problem is identity. Many Canadian buyers still see Genesis as a rebadged Hyundai, and that perception destroys the luxury positioning. Calgary Genesis dealer Sarah Chen described the sales challenge. Customers walk in, love the vehicles, then ask if we have a Hyundai service department because they assume it's the same. We explain Genesis is separate, but the association damages the premium perception. The reliability issues haven't helped. Genesis has issued multiple recalls affecting Canadian vehicles. In 2022, several models were recalled for fuel pump failures causing sudden stalling. The GV60 and G80 EVs experienced power loss recalls. For a luxury brand trying to build trust, these quality issues are catastrophic. But the issue destroying Genesis residual values is the depreciation curve that reveals luxury buyers don't actually value the brand. A 2022 GV 83.5T Prestige purchased for $89,900 Canadian dollars is now worth approximately $52,400 after 3 years, representing 42% depreciation. A comparable BMW X5 over the same period loses approximately 35%. That 7 percentage point gap represents $6,300 less resale value on comparable vehicles. Genesis isn't collapsing in the traditional sense of failing sales. It's collapsing under the weight of an identity crisis it cannot solve. Luxury buyers want status, not value, and Genesis offers the wrong value proposition. Genesis can't escape its Hyundai roots, but number 4 is an American luxury brand so irrelevant that most Canadians have forgotten it exists. Number 4 is Lincoln, Ford's luxury division that has become so thoroughly irrelevant in Canadian retail markets that the brand exists primarily as a fleet vehicle supplier for airports and corporate transportation. In 2024, Lincoln sold approximately 6,400 units in Canada, representing total market insignificance in the luxury segment. The Lincoln lineup available in Canada includes the Nautilus midsize SUV, Aviator 3-row SUV, Navigator full-size SUV, and the Corsair compact crossover. These vehicles share platforms and powertrains with Ford models, but add premium materials and Lincoln badging. The problem is, luxury buyers aren't buying the Ford connection at luxury prices. The Aviator specifically has suffered from reliability nightmares that destroyed brand credibility. Toronto owner Michael Park bought a 2021 Aviator Reserve for 84,900 Canadian dollars. Within 18,000 kilometers, I experienced transmission failures, infotainment system crashes, and electrical issues. The dealer replaced the transmission entirely under warranty. How does a luxury SUV need a transmission replacement before 20,000 kilometers? Current Lincoln depreciation reveals the brand's luxury positioning failure. A 2022 Aviator Grand Touring purchased for 94,600 Canadian dollars is worth approximately $51,800 after 3 years, representing 45% depreciation. A Lexus RX 500h over the same period loses 33%. That's an $11,300 resale value gap on comparable luxury SUVs. Calgary Lincoln dealer Sarah Santos described the retail reality. "We sell Navigators to people who specifically want that model. Everything else? It's mostly fleet orders. Retail customers shopping luxury crossovers go to Lexus, BMW, or Genesis. They don't consider Lincoln." Lincoln proves that brand heritage and premium products aren't enough when the parent company's mainstream reputation overshadows the luxury positioning and reliability issues destroy buyer confidence. Lincoln's fleet-dependent irrelevance is embarrassing. But number 3 is a performance brand that built its reputation on V8 engines, then killed them all. Number 3 is Dodge, and this collapse represents one of the most spectacular examples of a brand destroying exactly what made it special and valuable. For 15 years, Dodge built its entire identity around V8-powered muscle cars. The Charger and Challenger with 392 Hemi, Hellcat, and Red Eye variants defined modern American performance. Canadian enthusiasts loved them. Sales were strong. The brand had clear identity. Then Stellantis decided to kill it all. The V8 Charger and Challenger were discontinued after 2023. The replacements? A turbocharged inline-6 Hurricane engine and full electric options that Dodge loyalists are actively rejecting. Calgary Charger Scat Pack owner Michael Santos expressed the community sentiment. "I bought my Charger for the V8 rumble and tire smoke. The new Hurricane engine sounds like a minivan. Nobody in the muscle car community wants it." Canadian Dodge sales reflect this rejection. Total brand sales fell 18% in 2024, with Charger and Challenger sales collapsing as production ended. The new Charger 6-pack with Hurricane engine is sitting on dealer lots with minimal buyer interest despite aggressive incentives. But the catastrophe extends beyond new sales to existing owner equity destruction. Vancouver automotive appraiser Jennifer Williams analyzed the market. 2022 and 2023 Charger and Challenger values spiked temporarily when discontinuation was announced. Buyers thought they were investing in the last V8 muscle cars. Now those inflated values are collapsing. A 2023 Charger Scat Pack that sold used for 68,000 Canadian dollars in early 2024 is now worth $52,000. Owners who paid inflated prices are underwater. The long-term concern for Canadian Dodge V8 owners is whether Stellantis maintains parts inventory and service support for discontinued powertrains. When manufacturers discontinue entire engine families, the parts supply chain gradually atrophies. Toronto Dodge specialist Robert Martinez operates an independent shop. We're already seeing longer wait times for certain Hemi-specific components. If Stellantis deprioritizes V8 parts as they transition to Hurricane engines, V8 owners will struggle to maintain their vehicles long-term. Dodge didn't collapse from poor sales. Dodge collapsed from voluntarily destroying its own brand identity, replacing beloved V8 muscle with turbocharged engines and electric powertrains that loyal customers explicitly don't want. Dodge murdered its muscle car identity, but number 2 is a mainstream giant reporting losses so catastrophic that bankruptcy is genuinely possible. Number 2 is Nissan, and this entry will shock most Canadians because Nissan still maintains significant market presence, selling over 84,600 vehicles in Canada during 2024. Surface-level numbers suggest health. The internal reality is corporate crisis so severe that the company's survival is questioned by industry analysts. Nissan globally reported operating losses of $4.5 billion in 2024, with profits down 90% year over year. Worldwide sales collapsed from 5.8 million units in 2017 to 3.3 million in 2024, a 43% decline. In response, Nissan laid off nearly 20,000 employees globally, slashed production capacity, shut down manufacturing plants, and suspended multiple planned vehicle launches. The Canadian lineup is shrinking. The Maxima flagship sedan was discontinued in 2023. The Altima is following the same path, with Canadian sales collapsing. The Ariya EV launch was catastrophic with minimal consumer interest. Nissan recently canceled 2 upcoming EV projects for North American markets, effectively admitting they have no competitive electric vehicle strategy. Industry analysts estimate Nissan has approximately 12 to 14 months of operating runway before requiring emergency capital injection or acquisition. Vancouver automotive economist Sarah Chen explained the implications. Nissan is burning through cash reserves while sales decline and losses mount. Without a major strategic partner or investor, bankruptcy becomes a genuine possibility by late 2026. Current Nissan owners in Canada face the terrifying prospect of their vehicles coming from a potentially bankrupt manufacturer. Calgary Rogue owner Michael Park expressed the anxiety. "I bought my Rogue in 2023 thinking Nissan was stable. Now I'm reading they might not survive 2026. What happens to my warranty? To parts availability? To my resale value if Nissan declares bankruptcy?" Nissan's bankruptcy risk is terrifying, but number one is a brand selling strongly while hiding a crisis that threatens the entire company. Number one is Volkswagen. And this top placement will surprise Canadians because VW sold approximately 97,400 vehicles in Canada during 2024, representing seemingly healthy market performance. But beneath those sales numbers is a brand that never truly recovered from the Dieselgate emissions scandal and is now facing existential threats to its global operations. The 2015 Dieselgate scandal, where Volkswagen deliberately programmed diesel engines to cheat emissions testing, destroyed consumer trust permanently. The company paid over $35 billion in fines, settlements, and recalls globally. In Canada specifically, VW settled a class action lawsuit for $290 million Canadian dollars, affecting over 125,000 vehicles. That scandal irreparably damaged VW's engineering credibility, but the crisis didn't end with Dieselgate. Volkswagen's transition to electric vehicles has been catastrophically mismanaged. The ID.4 electric SUV has been a complete disaster with 447 days of dealer inventory, representing over 14 months of unsold vehicles. The 12-volt battery failure epidemic has turned the ID.4 into a reliability nightmare. Software so poor that owners describe it as unusable. VW declared software version 3.x end of life for pre-2024 models, effectively abandoning early adopters with vehicles that cannot receive updates. Canadian ID.4 owners are experiencing the ownership nightmare in real time. Toronto owner Robert Martinez bought a 2023 ID.4 for $62,900 Canadian dollars. The vehicle has been to the dealer 7 times for software issues, 12-volt battery failures, and infotainment crashes. It's currently worth $28,400 according to trade-in quotes. "I've lost $34,500 in value in under 3 years. This is a catastrophe." But VW's crisis extends beyond ID.4 failures to broader corporate threats. The company announced 30,000 employee layoffs globally as part of massive restructuring. Multiple European plants face closure. Operating margins have collapsed below sustainable levels. Competition from Chinese EV manufacturers is crushing VW in critical markets. The depreciation data confirms the brand crisis. A 2022 Tiguan purchased for $47,900 Canadian dollars is worth $28,600 after 3 years, representing 40% depreciation. A Honda CR-V over the same period loses 31%. That's a $4,300 resale gap on comparable crossovers. Volkswagen's Canadian collapse is unique because the brand maintains sales volume while simultaneously experiencing deep operational crisis. Customers are buying VWs without understanding the long-term risks, questionable manufacturer survival, abandonment of early EV adopters, and residual values reflecting zero brand trust. These 10 brands prove Canadian automotive market collapse isn't always obvious from sales numbers. From Mitsubishi's slow fade to Nissan's bankruptcy risk to VW's scandal-poisoned reputation, Canadian buyers are financing vehicles from manufacturers in crisis. Which collapse shocked you most? Drop your thoughts below, and if this research saved you from a financial disaster, smash that subscribe button because next week we're revealing which brands are actually safe for long-term Canadian ownership.